In the first week of this challenge, I made more sales than I had in the first 2 weeks of January combined. Some were brand new listings, some were items that I had listed for months. So the real question is, what's driving the increase? Hey, I'm Laura. I've been reselling since 2018 and I ran my business full-time for 2 years. Since then, I got my MBA and now I use this channel to apply real business insights to the business of reselling. It's been a week since I posted my last video, and that means it's been a week since the beginning of my 30-day Poshmark listing challenge experiment. Quick reset in case you're new here or you missed part 1. I started this challenge with just 23 active listings in my Poshmark closet. And the goal of the challenge is simple: to list one item every single day for an entire month and see what the impact is on my sales. I'm now a week into the challenge. I'm sitting at 25 active listings and I made 4 sales last week. In today's video, I'm going to break down what sold, what didn't, how I priced each item, and what kind of offers came in and what kind of activity I've had on my closet so far. And then I'm going to step back to take a big picture look on what consistency, visibility, showing up and posting regularly on Poshmark can do for your closet. Let's start with a big picture snapshot. Throughout the course of the week, I sold 4 items, and that gives me a sell-through rate of about 16%. I got that by just dividing the number of items sold, so 4, by the number of items I have available, so 25, and that gives me about 16%. For a closet this size, a sell-through rate of about 16% is, first of all, meaningfully higher than where I was at the beginning of the month when I wasn't listing consistently, and second of all, just in general, a very high sell-through rate. If I had, for example, 1,000 listings, that would mean I was selling 160 items in a week, which is a lot. 4 items, it might not sound like a lot, but it definitely is a lot for the scale of this experiment and the size of my closet. And the average sales price for the 4 items that I did sell was $37. Let's walk through each of the 7 items that I listed this week. 2 of the items that I listed this week sold pretty much immediately. 2 of them have had 0 interest so far, no likes, nothing. And the other 3 are somewhere in the middle where they've had some interest, but they haven't sold yet. The first item I listed was that Club Monaco black romper that I showed in the part 1 of this series. I listed it for $50 and I haven't seen any interest on it. Because the nature of this experiment is that it's only going to be 30 days, I think I will reduce prices on these items throughout the course of the experiment. I actually sell faster on a different platform, think eBay. I'm considering expanding this beyond Poshmark. I would love to hear in the comments. Let me know what you think about me cross-listing these items onto different platforms. The next item I listed was a pair of Vans high-top sneakers. They're from my personal closet. I listed these for $30 just based on the condition. I've had 2 likes so far and I've made offers to those buyers, but no one has bought it yet. The rest of the 5 items that I listed this past week are from my most recent thrift haul video, which is a short form video. So if you're not seeing it on my channel, just make sure you navigate to shorts and you can see all the different pieces that I bought, and I go into a lot more detail about them. On day 3, I listed this Free People cashmere cardigan. This actually was one of the items that sold already. I'll get into more detail about that in the next section of the video. I did list this for $75 and I immediately had a lot of interest from buyers. On day 4, I listed this quince sweater, which is just like a striped polo sweater. Really cute, really on trend. I listed the sweater for $40. It's only been 3 days so far and it already has 13 likes. So it's certainly a in-demand item. I've sent offers to those people. It hasn't sold yet, but I think it'll sell pretty quickly. On day 5 of the challenge, I listed these Lululemon Wonder Train leggings. I listed these for $65 and they did sell the very next day. On day 6, I listed this pair of New With Tags Asics shorts. They're just running shorts. They're nothing incredibly special, but they are still listed on the website. They retailed for $80. They're new with tags, so I just felt like it was worth taking a chance on. I haven't gotten any interest on these yet, but I did just list them 2 days ago at this point because it was day 6 of the experiment. And lastly, on day 7 of the experiment, which is today, I listed this cute mini dress from Elizabeth and James. I've never sold this brand before. I'm honestly not too sure how well it'll sell. I don't really anticipate it selling super fast, but I just listed this one for $60. I haven't gotten any interest on it yet because I literally listed it right before I filmed this video. Okay, now getting to the juicy part, what actually sold. The first item that sold is this pair of Outdoor Voices leggings. Now, Outdoor Voices is a Nordstrom brand. It used to be really popular. I feel like the resale value just isn't what it used to be. I've had these listed for over a year, and finally someone made me an offer for $13. I think I only had them listed for like 20 at that point, so I just accepted. That made my earnings $10.05 after the Poshmark fee. This item sold on day 3 of the listing challenge. So it was the 3rd day in a row that I had listed something consistently. And then this item that has been listed in my closet for a year sold. So it's not something I listed during the challenge, but I definitely think that me listing consistently helped boost my profile in the algorithm and resulted in this sale. The second item that sold this week was this Free People cashmere sweater, which I listed during the challenge. The story behind this one, I listed it for $75, and the very next day I got an offer for $45. This was a little low for me. I typically like to sell things between 20 and 30% off, but I don't usually go a lot lower than that. I responded with a $52 counter offer, and the buyer accepted. That makes my earnings after the Poshmark fee on this item $41.60. The third item to sell was the pair of Lululemon Wonder Train leggings. These were a size 14, which I think definitely helped them sell really quickly. They also sold the very next day after I listed them. I had listed them for $65. I received an offer from a buyer for $50 and I accepted. That makes my earnings on this pair of leggings $40. And the third item to sell this week was this Lulu's dress. I actually purchased it for myself on Poshmark several months ago. I didn't like the way it fit on me, so I ended up relisting it without ever even wearing it, and it was still new with tags. I listed it for $40. I sent out an offer to likers for $32 with discounted shipping, and this buyer accepted the offer. Taking out the Poshmark fee and the shipping discount, I made $24.10 on this dress. And this one I actually got on Poshmark for $10. Did pay for shipping. I still made a profit on this, which was never my intention. I intended to buy this for my personal use, but I still did end up turning a profit on this dress, which is great. If you're struggling to find inventory in your area, you could potentially find inventory on Poshmark. There's some people that are just listing things for a cheap price because they just don't want them anymore. Consider using Poshmark as a way to source items. Okay, so how much money have I actually made so far during this challenge? The total revenue for my 4 sales is $147. My cost of goods sold for those items is $29, a little higher than it normally would be. My typical cost of goods is somewhere around $5 to $6 for items that I thrifted, but this particular set of sales included that item that I bought for myself on Poshmark that was $10 plus I paid for shipping. That makes my gross margin for this week of sales $118. If you take out the operating expenses, which includes Poshmark fees, shipping discounts, then I made a total profit of around $87. So what does this all mean, and how can you apply what I'm learning so far to your closet? Because 2 out of my 4 sales were items that I had listed for a long time, Outdoor Voices leggings were listed for over a year, and the Lulu's dress was listed for probably 4 or 5 months. My theory is that consistency matters more than any single item. Now, I know that some of you may be watching this video and thinking, okay, well, of course you were able to make these sales because you listed a cashmere cardigan from Free People and Lululemon leggings, and I can't find that kind of inventory near me. Half of my sales were items that had already been listed, aren't particularly trendy, had just been sitting there for a long time. Poshmark sees that you're being really active by listing every single day and sharing your closet and sending out offers. So they know that when a buyer reaches out to you, they're going to hear back, you're going to ship the item. And it just makes Poshmark more likely to promote your closet in their algorithms. So if you list consistently, then all of your listings will benefit from increased visibility. The second part of my theory does relate to the 2 items that sold really fast. When you sell items really fast on Poshmark's algorithm, it shows Poshmark that you have a high sales velocity, which basically means from time of listing to time of item sold is a short window. If you have a higher sales velocity, meaning that you're able to sell items quickly, then you're going to get more impressions in your closet overall. Poshmark is going to show more people your items because they want items to move quickly on their platform. Now, you may be thinking, of course, I would love every item to sell quickly, but I don't necessarily have control over that. Yes, that's true. You don't necessarily have control over how quickly your items sell, but what you do have control over is pricing your items competitively, sending out offers, being generous with discounts, responding to buyers, putting good information in your listing so that buyers don't feel like they even have to ask questions. And all of those things can make your item move faster. Part of my theory, quick sales also helps boost you in the Poshmark algorithm. As a recap, what seems to be happening here is that I'm listing items consistently. This consistency is allowing Poshmark to see that I am an active seller and their buyers will have a good experience if they buy from me. This means that Poshmark is pushing my listings higher up when you search by relevance, which is now the default setting. It's not just shared anymore. So the Poshmark algorithm is suggesting my listings to people more. I'm also listing things at competitive prices. I'm sending offers, I'm taking offers, and that's leading to me having a higher sales velocity, meaning that my items are listed and they're selling quickly. Poshmark also likes that, which is allowing them to promote me in the algorithm even more. Long story short, do I think that consistency of listing is helping with these sales on Poshmark? 1000% yes. Two of them are items that I listed this week, so if I hadn't listed them, they wouldn't have sold. But even the other two that were already listed, I don't necessarily think would have sold this week without all the other activity in my closet. The big question that I have that I want to keep an eye on for next week and the further future weeks of this experiment, is this sustainable? I do think that my consistent listing is boosting me in the algorithm and getting more eyeballs on my listings. I also know that two of the items that I sold were very desirable, that people are searching for. And I won't always find those, and I won't always have those to list. But I also sold two older listings that are not very desirable items that people aren't necessarily searching for. Therefore, my soft conclusion is that even if the types of items that I am listing change, the behavior that drives sales might not. Here's what I'm thinking about changing going forward in this experiment. And again, I would love for you to weigh in the comments down below. So number one, I'm considering cross-listing on eBay. So please let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do that, or if you want me to keep this to just a simple Poshmark experiment. I'm honestly happy to do it either way. I'm pretty sure that cross-listing will increase sales further. Having more eyeballs on your listings across different platforms is always a good thing. So I'm not sure if there's a ton of value in me experimenting with that alongside what I'm already doing, but I'm certainly open to it if people are interested in me adding that as another variable to this experiment. Also next week, I'm going to start adjusting pricing on some of the items that I have that have just had zero interest so far. I will start reducing pricing towards the end of next week. I'll also be tracking how long it took each item to sell going forward so that we know if items sold that were listed during the challenge or if they've been listed for a long time. So I'm going to start tracking that information more intentionally. So if you're selling on Poshmark and you've ever wondered whether consistency actually matters, stick with me. I'm going to continue testing this so you don't have to. I'll be back next Wednesday with another update video. If you haven't already, go back and watch the first video in this series where I explain all the rules a little bit more specifically, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.